last soundbite, we looked at how we could create major chords rooted off the 6th string by thinking in 2 different directions. What I call the backward diagonal, where the notes fall into the pattern 1, 3, 5, 8, the notes that we can easily reach with our fingers, and the forward diagonal pattern, where they fall into the pattern 1, 5, 8, 10. And as note 10 is really the octave of note 3, we can think of that as 1, 5, 1, 3, to simplify things. I left you with the task of seeing if you could use the same approach to find major chord patterns, 2 major chord patterns rooted off each of the 5th, 4th and 3rd strings as well. Let's see if you found the same answers as me. Working backwards from a root note on the A string, we can find the 3rd here, then a bit of a stretch to find the 5th here, and then we can add the octave of the root note here on 2nd string. This may be familiar to you as a movable C shape. Of course, the C shape is much easier to play in open position, as we don't have to finger this 5th note on the 3rd string. For our forward diagonal, we go up a 5th from our root note. Then on the next string we find the octave root, and then we can find the 3rd on the B string here, because the pattern for a 3rd straightens out when we hit the 2nd string anomaly here. So this gives us what most of us think of as a movable A-shaped chord. Off a 4th string root, working backwards, we get a nice familiar shape too. Root, 3rd, 5th, and root octave. Most of us think of this as a movable F chord shape. And the forward diagonal shape off the 4th string, we've got the 5th, the root octave, and the 3rd, giving us that familiar D-shaped pattern, which is also a movable chord. All pretty straightforward so far. Now let's look at what happens when we try to root chords off the G string. For the backward diagonal, we can add a 3rd by going straight across, and then find the 5th by going 2 frets back and moving up to the top string. But of course then we've run out of strings to be able to cap the chord off with a root octave. And when we try creating the forward diagonal rooted off the 3rd string, I think our luck finally runs out. We have the choice of adding the 3rd, in which case we can't add the 5th, or we can add the 5th, in which case we've no way of adding the 3rd. We can of course add the root octave here, and this gives us 2 options. We can play what we call an implied major chord, which goes 1, 3, 8. Sounds okay, but theoretically can't be considered to be complete. Or we can use the formula 1, 5, 8 to give us what we normally refer to as a power chord or a 5th chord. Again, this is a useful musical idea, but isn't strictly a complete major chord. So there we are. I wonder if you worked it out the same way. If you happen to come up with any other alternatives, do please let me know, because either you have freakishly long fingers or you have a great opportunity to teach this old dog a new trick. In the next lesson, we'll look on how we can build on what we've covered so far to be able to create minor chords on the fly. I hope you'll join me for that. If you found this little video useful, please click on the like button if there is one, or leave a comment, and do feel free to share the video with your friends. And if you'd like to gain full access to all our guitar teaching materials, please visit the Secret Guitar Teacher site and take a free look round at what's available there. See you again soon.